lot of President Trump supporters here.
Greatest movement in the history of our country. I'm fighting for you, and I love doing it with everything that I have. And I will never, ever stop. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will make America great again.
Welcome to Team Trump Online.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Real News Insights on Team Trump Online. I'm Lara Trump, Senior Advisor to President Trump's re-election campaign. As always, please be sure to like and share this broadcast with all of your friends. Tonight, we're lucky to be joined by a First Amendment lawyer who knows Kamala Harris very well, the RNC committeewoman for California, Harmeet Dhillon. Then later in the show, we have a treat for everybody. The Huntington Beach bad boy himself, MMA champ Tito Ortiz, will be here to discuss his support for President Trump. All right, so we'll get started. Harmeet, welcome to the show, and thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lara. Pleasure to be here.
So you're from California, where Kamala Harris served as Attorney General and even had a failed stint as the DA in San Francisco. So tell our viewers about her record as a prosecutor.
Sure. Well, I've lived in San Francisco throughout this time that Kamala Harris has run for office and gotten to where she is in life today. And when I first encountered her, she was a deputy district attorney who was running for her boss's job. Now, in fairness, her boss was a terrible district attorney, and most Republicans actually supported her because her message was very tough on crime, promising to prosecute the types of crimes that should be prosecuted here in San Francisco. We have the usual type of crime in cities. So, we supported her, Republican Party supported her, and it was a nonpartisan race. And she ended up immediately betraying her promises to the voters. In her first year in office, she dealt with a triple gang murder where she refused to seek the death penalty. And then there was a cop killing where she similarly, after sort of flip-flopping back and forth for a while, said that in conscience she could not enforce California's statutory death penalty. And that immediately gave everybody the message of what kind of politician Kamala Harris was going to be, somebody who would say anything to get elected and promise tough on crime. And then once she got into office, began reaching for the next job and moving to the left. And that has been her entire career.
Yeah, well, that's why we call her at the campaign Phony Kamala. To your point, she'll basically say or do whatever she needs to get ahead and to get the position she wants. You actually did a battle with her of sorts in a major religious freedom case. Now, as we're looking at her as a possible vice president of the United States, that's very important. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that case and why she would be such a nightmare for civil liberties.
Sure, and there are actually two cases I'll tell you about. The first one is with respect to my client who is a Sikh. He wears a turban and a beard, and he was seeking a job in the prison department, and he passed all the physical tests. He's has served in the Army and has been able to wear a gas mask, and the city and the state used the argument that, he can't wear a gas mask because of his beard, and so we're not going to let him have this job. Well, the state was actually allowing gas mask accommodations for people for different reasons. If they had medical reasons and they couldn't shave, they were allowed. So obviously the state could have made this accommodation, and federal law requires that. Well, Kamala Harris defended the state, and this lawsuit took 4 years, and they made ridiculous arguments, refused to acknowledge the constitutional issues. And finally, it was only after a coalition of liberal as well as religious liberties groups stood behind me and demanded that she take action that she broke down and settled the lawsuit. And my client got a job in the prison department. That's 4 years of litigation. I think the message to take away from there is she did not care about the law or the civil rights. She simply did what the prison unions wanted her to do, which is really unfortunate. And if I can tell you about a second case, which is also of constitutional importance, Kamala Harris was the Attorney General at the time that a liberal group from DC came to California and San Francisco to enjoin and strike down California's bail law, which is part of our Constitution. And Kamala Harris looked at that lawsuit and said, you know what, I don't agree with the state law, and I'm not going to defend the state law. And her job when she got into office and she swore under penalty of perjury that she would uphold the laws of the United States and the laws of the state of California, and she refused to do that in that case. So another 4 years of battle that I did with her office resulted in a judge indeed approving a settlement where the bail law has been removed from California effectively.
Wow.
So that's her, doesn't defend the law. She's, so you can imagine when she takes an oath, if she were to be the president or vice president, what we can expect from her is not fidelity to the law or to her promises.
Yeah, scary stuff. Now, during the Democrat primary, Kamala Harris attacked Joe Biden. I think people probably remember this, for promoting segregationist policies. So let's remind everyone who may have forgotten about that exchange. Watch this.
It was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
All right, Harmeet, I think we all probably remember that. That was a moment during the Democrat primary debates that was pretty bad for Joe Biden. And here she was essentially calling him, in not so many words, a racist of sorts. Now here she is gleefully joining the team to be his vice presidential running mate. So how hypocritical is it of Harris to now be right there alongside of a guy who she was criticizing and attacking nonstop during these Democrat primaries?
Yeah, I mean, if anything were an orchestrated hit with that quaver in the voice and the acting, and then she comes off stage and there are T-shirts made up with that little girl was me. I'd love to get one of those T-shirts right now. That would be a collector's item. But she's a phony, like you said. She's a hypocrite. She's a fraud. She's also pretty much called him a rapist. So there she is, the running mate of a racist and a rapist. Not exactly a position of principle. If you really believed either of those things, then you would not be standing next to that man. So either she didn't believe it when she said it, or she believes it and she's willing to tolerate it to get ahead. Both of those things are bad.
Yeah, well, many in the mainstream media are trying to portray her, Kamala Harris, as some sort of a moderate. We know that they tried to do this with Joe Biden as well. His true colors have been shown. But we know better than that with her support for things like defunding the police, the Green New Deal, which she is also a big part of, and other socialist economic policies. So how can she possibly relate to average Americans, Harmeet? I mean, we are finally going to have to see what this woman is all about, and she is no moderate.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I can't agree more. She has not been a moderate since her early campaign promises. And she has consistently moved to the left throughout her career. She is in favor of every bad policy, Medicare for all, an end to fracking, which is clean energy, the Green New Deal, which would force you to knock down your house and rebuild it. Everybody should live near public housing. If anything that COVID has taught us recently is that a lot of these sacred cows of the left have proven to not be good for America. People are fleeing the cities where there's chaos and decay. And Kamala Harris is rushing in and defending all of these terrible policies. She calls the cops the KKK and compares them to terrible things in our history. So she's a radical. She is an extremist. She is dangerous. She will lie and she will say anything to get ahead.
Yeah, that's very clear. Well, I want to ask you for your final thoughts on this. In 2016, the Democrats thought that they could pull one over, I guess, on the women in the United States of America and thought that we would all just jump on board with a woman running for president. It seems like Joe Biden and whoever is in control of him and everything he's doing, because we know it's not fully him, has this same notion and had it before she was chosen as his running mate, because we know, Harmeet, that from the very beginning, Joe Biden told us he would pick a woman, and likely a woman of color, to be his running mate. I just want to get your thoughts as a woman about that sort of mentality, that sort of notion that, we'll pander for these votes with the women of America. How do you feel about that?
Well, I may be an outlier, and maybe you are as well, but I personally find it very insulting and patronizing when a politician says, oh, look, I have this token next to me, now you can vote for me, and I'm absolved of the duty to actually put forward policies that help all Americans. It didn't work with Hillary Clinton. She was perceived as phony and fake and frankly not very relatable to women. I think Kamala Harris is an even worse choice because I think suburban women, which are the sort of the golden prize everybody is jumping for here, are not going to identify with somebody who has, as I've said before, shape-shifted to say and be whatever is necessary to get ahead. And so when you're talking about eliminating people's jobs, when you're talking about making the schools less safe, when you're talking about imposing all these radical ideas and increasing taxes, that doesn't sound like a warm and cuddly future for most women. Women are typically very intelligent and make the decisions for the household in many cases. And they're looking for stability and security and a better future for their children and their families. None of that is being offered by Kamala Harris. And so Joe Biden would have been better off leaving the choice open to pick the best running mate. Instead, he boxed himself into a very few people who he could pick from. And he picked this one. I was surprised by it. But as I think the president has said, this is the one that we wanted. And so we have a lot to say about Kamala Harris in coming days.
Yeah, what a novel idea, Harmeet, to pick up the person most qualified for the position. I guess the Democrats will figure it out one day, but until then, it's like they gave us a Christmas present in August, so we'll thank them for that. Harmeet, Dhillon, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and we hope you'll come back and join us on Team Trump Online very soon. Everybody at home, stay right where you are. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Kamala Harris ran for president by rushing to the radical left, embracing Bernie's plan for socialized medicine, calling for trillions in new taxes, attacking Joe Biden for racist policies. Voters rejected Harris. They smartly spotted a phony. But not Joe Biden. He's not that smart. Biden calls himself a transition candidate. He is handing over the reins to Kamala while they jointly embrace the radical left. Slow Joe and phony Kamala. Perfect together. Wrong for America.
You have reached the 911 police emergency line. Due to defunding of the police department, we're sorry, but no one is here to take your call. If you're calling to report a rape, please press 1. To report a murder, press 2. To report a home invasion, press 3. For all other crimes, leave your name and number, and someone will get back to you. Our estimated wait time is currently 5 days. Goodbye.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to Team Trump Online. We just heard from Harmeet Dhillon about the far-left hypocrisy of Kamala Harris. And now I am so honored to be joined by former UFC light heavyweight champion himself and a great champion for President Trump, our friend Tito Ortiz. Tito, welcome to the show.
Thank you once again for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, listen, in talking about your support for President Trump, you've often said that one of the things you like best about him is that he's not a politician. I don't think you're alone in that. And that he delivers on his promises. It's a miracle. No politicians ever do that. You've actually known Donald Trump for about 20 years. So if you could just tell our viewers why you wanted to support him, and by the way, why you've been so outspoken in the support for him.
Well, I think Donald Trump, he has my support because he's one of the most productive presidents that our country has ever had. No matter what of the left has attacked him over and over again, he's been a fighter for America, been a fighter for our constitutional rights. And that's why I back our president 100%.
But you've known him for a long time. And I mean, you know the character of the man. You know, before Tito, he ever got into politics, Donald Trump was generally liked by everybody. In your experiences in the past with him, I mean, I'm sure you found that as well, right?
100%. I mean, when I worked for him on the Celebrity Apprentice, for a person to be a billionaire, to be as genuine as he was, to go out of his way to answer the questions from me. I mean, I was a fighter guy and had a little bit of a business moniker, but I had an opportunity to speak with a billionaire, and he gave me his time. And everybody loved him, from rap guys from the rap industry to actors. Everybody wanted to be. Donald Trump was the American dream. And that was my dream, to live the American dream. And I got an opportunity to speak with him before I even thought about being a president. And now that he is our president and how well he has done for our country, I'm going to continue to support him, no matter what lies on the line. Because what lies on the line is the future of our country, and to keep fighting for our Constitution, and our president is doing that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, he really is. And, You know, as we're approaching Election Day, and we're approaching it very quickly, there is all kinds of fake news out there, Tito. One of the things that the fake news has tried to push out to the American people is that Latinos do not support President Trump. But now, you are actually of Mexican descent, and you've been very outspoken about the fact that your friends and family members are very supportive of this president, despite what the fake news media says. So do you think we're going to see President Trump get even more Latino support in 2020 than he did in 2016? What's your prediction?
Absolutely. You know, the Mexican people, we believe in hard work, family, and the freedom of religion, and to win. And President Trump has gone over and beyond to make job opportunities. The expectations he's done, historic low on unemployment, the things that he's done for this country so far, he has our support because he's a fighter. He's a person willing to step up for the American people. Now, people need to understand that people from South America, Mexico, and so forth come to America for the American dream. They want to get away from the corruption of the government. And I believe in Trump's views is having a small government and letting the people, we the people, control our government. And that is what's important. And finally, we have a president that is willing to step up for the Mexican people. And let me tell you, President Trump embodies perseverance, courage, exceptional work ethic that has the respect from every one of the Latino friends that I have and the Latino people that do live here in America.
Amazing. Yeah, well, they're trying to tell a different tale, but I agree with you. I'll tell you that people are woken up now, so to speak. People get it. People are seeing that although the mainstream media has been trying to feed them lie after lie about this president, they see the results for themselves, Tito. You just named so many things that this president has done for our country. And so people are saying, wait a minute, this guy's good for me. I want to keep him in office. So I agree. I think that this president is going to see support that is going to blow the doors off of 2016. I am predicting it right now. I'm very excited about it. And I don't even call it the silent majority anymore. I call it the silenced majority, because there are a lot of people out there that support this president that might not get out and speak out like you do about it, because they've been silenced, or they're trying to be silenced by the left and by the mainstream media. I think it's going to be amazing on November 3rd to see what happens. But I want to talk about something else for a second. As an MMA champ, you obviously are no stranger to the arena, but you recently announced that you're entering a different type of arena altogether with a campaign for city council in your hometown of Huntington Beach, California. I mean, very exciting. Tell us about that. Why did you decide to do this? Why throw your hat into the ring?
Well, I'm born and raised here in Huntington Beach, and I've seen the ups and downs of the city go through. 1993, when I graduated high school, 1994, 1995, Huntington Beach was the safest city in the country. Right now, we are 70th in California.
Oh, wow.
And for the safety of my children, it's time for me to step up and fight. Over the last 23 years, as being a mixed martial artist and a business owner, I have reached the pinnacle of my career. And now it's time to throw my hat into the ring in the politician side. And once again, I am not a politician. I'm far from being a politician. What I am is a citizen of this community, is willing to fight back, to give my community something they can embody for the future of success of this city. Not only just to boost the economy, keep our city clean, try to help the homeless, to get them in and out, to kind of restructure their life, because there's some mental health issues. Let's really focus on those type of things. Helping the law enforcement, it's very important. The fire department, it's very important. These guys are stretched out thin. How can I come together with the city council members when I win this year? And I had a question yesterday with the Republican Party of Huntington Beach, and they asked me, would you endorse another candidate if you lost? And I said, I'm not here to lose. We're going to win so much, you guys are going to get sick of winning. And I actually got that from our president, Donald Trump. But let me tell you, I think I use the same attitude that he has, that he's doing for our country, for my city of Huntington Beach. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to put my name on it just because I see so much support for our president from all the patriots that are here in Huntington Beach. I live in the harbor. I have Trump flag flying behind my house, and all of a sudden I started seeing other people having their Trump flags flying behind the house. I'm giving them courage. I'm giving them the courage to speak up. And I think that's very, very important, because right now in 2020, this is the biggest election in our country's history. Biggest ever, ever, ever. And it means the most, because the radical left is attacking President Trump from the job he's trying to succeed for the future of this country. And I care about the future of my children, of my grandchildren, and for my community. That's why I'm throwing my hat in the ring as city council. And like I say, I'm gonna win, and I'm gonna help make this city safe again.
I love it. Well, I mean, you say that you got one of those lines from President Trump, but it sounds like you've been really inspired, Tito, to do this, maybe because of the president. And I think that he inspires people every single day to do things that they never considered doing. I mean, here was a man who had no political experience, who went straight to the top and said, I want to run for president of the United States because I love this country and I am in it only to win. I mean, fighter mentality, I love it. So you just laid out so well what is on the line as we head towards November 3rd. The radical left, the Democrats, the now socialists that have taken over the Democrat Party are trying to take over this country. They are trying to take away our American way of life. They're trying to take away the American dream. As we head towards November 3rd, if there are any people out there who are thinking about maybe staying home this election, what would you say to them? Why should they get out and vote and make sure they cast a vote for President Donald Trump?
Our forefathers made this we the people. So each one of the citizens of America need to come out and vote. Let's come out and vote like never before. Let's get, every one of these Americans to step up and willing to vote for Donald Trump. It's very important. And yes, there may be people on the left side that disagree with some of his views, but the main view is our country. Our country needs to be protected. Our country needs to be rebuilt. And President Trump has done that over the last 3 years. The constant attack from the left have tried to downgrade everything he has done. Look at the unemployment record. It is the lowest in our history. The things that he has done, I hope people see this and have opened their eyes. This COVID-19 pandemic has been a blessing in disguise, because there has been people that have been woke, as you say, have been taking the red pill, have understand what is involved in this country and how important this country is to the future of us, to the future of my children, my grandchildren, and our community in general. I mean, I live here in Huntington Beach and it's beautiful, but I want to have a safe country. Right. I want to be able to travel this country and have a safe country. And President Trump is proof. As I grew up always hearing, proof's in the pudding. And he has proved himself time and time again of how great of a president he can be. Let's give him 4 more years to show how great he can make this country be. Make this country America first. And that's what it should be truly be about.
Amen to that. All right, take it to the bank and take it to the voting booth on November 3rd. You heard it right here from Tito Ortiz. Tito, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it. And thanks so much to both of our guests, Harmeet, Dhillon, and Tito Ortiz, for joining us on Team Trump Online. As always, thank you at home for tuning in. That's the real news for tonight. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep fighting to make America great again. We'll see you next time.